Have you ever wondered why airplanes avoid flying over the Pacific Ocean? The answer goes far beyond what you might think. While many believe it's just a matter of safety, the real reason involves a complex interplay of strategies and the natural forces of our planet. It's not just about avoiding risks, like the lack of airports for emergencies, but about how airlines maximize efficiency and safety on each route. Planes follow paths that appear as strange curves, harness jet streams that can boost their speed, and even use the Earth's rotation to save time. Surprisingly, it's almost like a ballet in the sky, where every movement is calculated to save fuel, reduce flight time, and ensure passenger safety. And if you think that's all, wait until you discover how each of these factors intertwines in a web of decisions that keeps planes away from the Pacific and gets you to your destination faster. Ready to uncover these secrets? It's no coincidence that planes rarely cross the vast Pacific Ocean. And it's not just a matter of distance or fuel economy. Imagine flying over miles and miles of nothing but water. Sounds thrilling, right? But in reality, it's quite risky. The main issue is the lack of airports for emergency landings. If something goes wrong, like an engine failure, the pilot needs a backup plan, and over the Pacific, the options are extremely limited. After all, when you're thousands of feet in the sky, an endless ocean isn't exactly the type of safety net you'd want as your only backdrop. Moreover, the Pacific is notorious for its unpredictable weather. Who doesn't remember those movies where planes are suddenly caught in massive storms? Although technology has advanced, weather conditions still pose a real risk. That's why air routes prefer to avoid such scenarios whenever possible, opting for paths where pilots have more control and safer options in case of unexpected events. Flying over inhabited lands offers far more opportunities to resolve issues than taking chances over an endless blue expanse. And there's more. It's not just about physical safety. The passengers on board are also part of the equation. Imagine a passenger with a severe medical emergency in the middle of a transoceanic flight. There's not much that can be done when the nearest hospital is thousands of miles away. The plane might have doctors on board and an advanced first aid kit, but there are situations that only a well-equipped hospital can handle. So, avoiding the Pacific makes a lot of sense, especially when considering all the possibilities that could happen up there. Another point to consider is the cost involved in flights crossing the Pacific. Being a long route with few support options on land, airlines need to be extremely well prepared, which includes having more reserve fuel, more supplies on board, and a larger crew. All this increases costs, which, of course, is passed on to passengers. So, in addition to the risks, the economic viability of the route itself is questionable. These considerations are what make airlines plot routes that, at first glance, may seem longer or inefficient. In reality, it's all about maximizing safety and being prepared for the unexpected. Speaking of routes, have you noticed how the lines we see on maps don't always represent the actual path planes take? This brings us to another interesting curiosity, the distortion of map projections, which, in turn, directly influences air routes. But before we get there, it's worth understanding a little more about how these decisions are made in the control rooms of airlines. When we look at a map, it's easy to assume that the shortest routes between 2 points are straight lines. But the truth is quite different, all thanks to the way maps are projected. Imagine drawing a perfect sphere on a flat piece of paper. It's impossible without some distortion. And that's exactly what happens with map projections. They distort the proportions of continents and oceans, making a straight line on paper actually a large detour in reality. And that's why we often see planes following paths that seem completely nonsensical, with curves that defy the logic of a layperson. This distortion isn't just a technical detail, but something that directly impacts flight routes. A classic example is the flight between the United States and Asia. On the map, a straight line might suggest that the shortest path would be through the middle of the Pacific, but, in practice, aircraft follow a curved route that passes over Alaska or the Arctic. This happens because, due to the Earth's sphericity, these curved routes are actually shorter than a straight line on the map. This is known as the Great Circle Route, the shortest path between 2 points on a sphere. And don't think this distortion is an irrelevant detail. It influences not only flight time, but also fuel consumption and aircraft efficiency. Airlines carefully study these projections to optimize their routes, reducing costs and directly impacting ticket prices. Just imagine, small route adjustments that might seem insignificant to the naked eye can result in millions of dollars in savings for an airline over time. And all this thanks to a deep understanding of how the Earth actually works. This map projection issue teaches us something valuable. What seems obvious isn't always the ideal solution. Often, it's necessary to understand the complete context to make smart decisions. The curved routes, which may look like a detour at first glance, are actually a strategic choice based on precise calculations. And when it comes to something as complex as aviation, every detail matters. Speaking of details, have you ever wondered why planes always prefer to fly over land, even if it means a seemingly longer route? This preference isn't accidental, and it's worth exploring the reason behind this choice. It's interesting to note how planes seem to avoid routes that, at first glance, might appear more direct. But this choice isn't random. Curved routes are actually the most efficient way to fly when considering the Earth's curvature. By charting these paths, airlines are thinking about how to minimize risks and optimize fuel consumption. Imagine that instead of a straight line, you choose a slight curve to reach your destination faster and with less strain. That's exactly what planes do, aiming to make the most of the planet's characteristics. A practical example of this is when flights between North America and Asia opt to pass over the Arctic instead of flying directly across the ocean. It might seem counterintuitive, but this route is shorter and safer. Additionally, flying over land is always preferable for safety reasons. In case of an emergency, there are more options for emergency landings, and planes are closer to control centers that can offer support. Just think, being over land with nearby infrastructure can be the difference between a manageable situation and complete chaos. And the benefit isn't just about safety, it's also about cost. Shorter routes mean less time in the air and, consequently, lower fuel consumption. In times of high fuel costs and growing concerns about carbon emissions, every drop saved makes a difference. For an airline, optimizing the path of each flight can lead to millions in savings over time. And that's not to mention the positive environmental impact, which is becoming an increasingly relevant factor in modern aviation. These curved routes show how every decision in aviation is meticulously planned. Every curve, every detour, is calculated to maximize efficiency and minimize risks. And there's always an eye on weather conditions, especially when it comes to air currents that can speed up or slow down the flight. The next factor to consider is precisely this: the jet streams that play a crucial role in route selection and flight time. Jet streams are like highways in the sky, and understanding how they work is essential for optimizing flight times. These air currents are fast, reaching speeds between 80 to 140 miles per hour, and are present at high altitudes, especially between the troposphere and stratosphere. They not only influence flight time but also directly impact fuel consumption. Flying in the direction of these currents can significantly speed up a flight, providing a free ride that saves time and resources. Imagine a flight from Los Angeles to Tokyo. Catching a favorable jet stream can reduce travel time by several hours and save a lot of fuel. On the other hand, when a plane has to fly against these currents, the impact can be quite negative. It's like swimming against the tide. It requires more effort, more time, and more fuel. And this, of course, isn't ideal for anyone, not for the airlines, which always seek maximum efficiency, nor for passengers, who prefer to reach their destination as quickly as possible. Routes are therefore strategically designed to take advantage of these currents whenever possible, which is quite a science. It's no wonder that pilots and meteorologists work together, using real-time data to adjust routes and ensure planes ride the wave of these currents. And there's another interesting layer to this story: jet streams aren't fixed. They change position, intensity, and even direction throughout the year, influenced by seasons and weather phenomena like El Niño. This means that flight routes that work during one period of the year may be adjusted in another. It's almost like a dance in the sky, where airlines need to stay one step ahead to make the best use of these currents. And you thought it was just a matter of drawing a line on a map and taking off, right? Additionally, jet streams play an important role in flight comfort. Flying within or near these currents can cause turbulence, something no passenger likes. Therefore, pilots frequently adjust altitude to avoid these turbulent areas, seeking a balance between taking advantage of the currents for a faster flight and maintaining passenger comfort. This shows how every decision in the air is a true balance between speed, safety, and comfort. So, next time you're flying and feel the plane suddenly change altitude or route, remember, the pilot is probably trying to catch a ride on the jet streams or avoiding one to dodge turbulence. And since we're talking about leveraging Earth's movement to optimize flights, how about understanding how our planet's rotation can further influence travel time? The Earth's rotation is a surprisingly influential factor in flight routes, even though many passengers are unaware of it. The Earth spins at an impressive speed of about 1,000 miles per hour, 1,600 kilometers per hour, at the equator, and this rotation directly affects flight times depending on the direction the plane is traveling. When a flight heads east, it's literally surfing on the Earth's rotation, which can make the journey significantly faster and more efficient. For example, a flight from New York to London can be noticeably shorter than the reverse route, thanks to this helping hand from the planet. But the opposite is also true. Flying west means going against the same rotation, making those flights naturally longer and, consequently, more taxing on fuel. Airlines and pilots are well aware of this phenomenon, and it's one of the reasons why eastbound flights are so popular. The idea is simple. If the planet is spinning and you can align your route to go with the flow, why not take advantage? It's like stepping onto a moving walkway to speed up your pace rather than walking against it. Additionally, the Earth's rotation also influences flight scheduling. Airlines know that efficiency is greater when flying east, which is one reason why many transatlantic flights, for example, depart at night. This way, the plane catches a ride on the rotation and arrives at the destination the following morning, saving fuel and time. All of this is carefully planned to maximize efficiency, resulting in faster flights, cost savings, and a reduced carbon footprint, something that's increasingly valued in the modern aviation world. So, if you've ever wondered why certain flights seem faster than others, now you have the answer. It's not just a matter of distance or the type of aircraft, but also how natural forces, like the Earth's rotation, are used to create more efficient routes. This influence goes beyond air travel. It also impacts rocket launches and even weather forecasting, showing how interconnected everything is. Next time you board a flight, remember that there's more going on than just a plane crossing the sky. There's a whole science behind the routes, schedules, and even the direction chosen. All of this ensures you reach your destination as quickly, safely, and comfortably as possible. So why not use this knowledge to see the world with new eyes and maybe even apply this logic in other areas of your life? After learning all this, it becomes clear that every detail in planning a flight is truly an art of engineering and strategy. From avoiding the vast and isolated Pacific Ocean to taking advantage of jet streams and the Earth's rotation, every decision is made to optimize the journey and ensure everyone's safety on board. But what about you? Are you applying these lessons to your life? Just as airlines chart efficient routes, you can also seek paths that make your daily life more productive and secure. How about rethinking your daily routes, riding the favorable currents of life, and using the rotation of opportunities to your advantage? If this knowledge inspired you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to keep learning about the mysteries of aviation and other fascinating topics. Because the best journey is the one where you learn to navigate life better.